Hi everyone, I'm going to talk today about a problem you can get using solvent weld against push fittings for waste pipes. This was highlighted to me by one of you guys out there who'd used all solvent weld fittings from his bath waste into the soil stack. And what had happened, it had a freeze up in the winter time, and the pipe had split right the way back into his bathroom under the floor, and consequently when the bath went next time he had a deluge through the ceiling. This kind of made me realise that there is a usage for solvent weld fittings, which are these, which you obviously just push in and use your humble solvent weld. And I like these because once it's in and it doesn't leak, that's it, it's solid, it's never going to come apart again ever. You've got to actually cut them out to get it out. So the old solvent weld, in, finished, that's it for keeps, it's on. So what's brought to mind really is the fact that there is a use for both. Now a lot of people don't like push fittings because you just push them in there and obviously it's just that black rubber ring in there that is the joint, and obviously you can get movement in the summertime. They do expand a bit and they can actually pop out if there's a lot of expansion on a long leg, and also obviously they can leak and the rubber washer can actually perish after time. So why am I advising the use of these as well? Well, because of what I was told, and I should have realised this a long time ago, that if this guy had used solvent weld fittings all the way through to his waist, which he did, he may have got away with the problem he had if he'd used push fittings outside. So this is what I'm contemplating you do, is use solvent weld waste fittings internally, but use the push fittings externally. By that I mean outside. And the reason for that is that should these pipes freeze outside, there's more than likely that they're going to push out. That pipe will push out of there with the ice, and all you'll get is a disconnected joint which you can push back in again when the freezing weather is over, or as soon as it warms up slightly, push it back in and off you go again. But you won't end up with a split and burst pipe way back in your bathroom and flooding your bathroom out. Okay, so I'm going to show you now a couple of drawings to explain quite what I mean about the use of these fittings and where I think they should be used. I should have twigged on this one a long time ago. But let me show you drawing number one. Okay, this is one of my rough sketches as usual, sorry about that. But as you can see, I'm just doing a bath waste. It could be a basin or it could even be his kitchen sink downstairs. But the waste goes along and we may have a joint here. We may have a lot of joints, it may be a couple of elbows, it may swing around. Eventually it goes down through the wall and hits the outside. On this instance we're going into what's called a hopper, and this isn't every one, but if you've got an old house it probably drops into a hopper that drops down and then goes into a gully and a drain down below. And quite often these do fill up with water when you run the bath, so in the winter time when it's really freezing this could fill up, and obviously the waste has got nothing. It could actually then freeze here in this section that's outside, and what could happen then is this elbow, which is usually what's on there instead of a T with a cleaning eye, but never mind, that often happens, will freeze. And obviously this pipe, the ice will retrace its steps back through the pipe and could split anywhere. It may split outside, but as in my friend's example when he emailed me about it, he's actually split here somewhere just inside the bathroom. And of course, not being aware of it, the next time the bath was used, the water poured through the ceiling and he had a major flood. So that's what made me think about using solvent weld fittings inside, because you know when they're on, they're solid, they're not going to leak, and they're there forever. You can't part them without cutting them out of a saw. But maybe instead of using them outside as well as, use the push fit fittings. If there had been a push fit fitting on there, it would have just expanded off and the fitting would have dropped off into the gully admittedly, and water would have shot outside, but you would have soon seen it, and you could have easily just got a ladder, got up there and pushed it back on. So it kind of saves you a lot of problems in the long term if you want to avoid a big flood. So particularly if you've got an old house with a hopper arrangement, you could change that. If you've got solvent weld fittings there now, and you're worried about this feature, you could always cut them off and put a couple of push fit fittings on instead. And it's just a little safeguard really, in case this should happen to you. I mean, I've got another drawing on the other side which shows a soil stack arrangement. Now again, we've got the solvent weld fitting in here. I'm just doing a rough example, and if the pipe goes straight into the soil stack, again, if it's solvent welded, which it can be, it's got nowhere to go. It could freeze and break inside. But if you have a push fit on there, it's more likely still to push that fitting out. It may not have enough room to move on this particular angle and may still freeze on you, but you've got more chance if it's just a push fit in there of it either expanding a bit and pushing that stack outwards a bit until it's come out the pipe, because it won't be welded in. That's one particular example. Most times they don't do that. They don't go straight into the stack. What happens, if I show you this picture, is that they kind of come along and they come outside the wall. I've done a kind of double bend here, but they always come round to the side of the stack normally. So the pipe comes out. It may have an elbow, it should have a T, but most people have a bloody elbow on here instead of a cleaning IT, but then it comes round, comes again, and then goes into the store stack, the stack at the side. So you've got these few bends, and these are what you should replace with push fit, in my opinion, to save you the bother. I know they will come off when it expands, but it's no problem to get back up there on a short ladder and push them back in. I'm showing a bath waste. It could happen to a basin, it could happen to your kitchen sink waste downstairs. It's just something to bear in mind. So that especially if you're renewing a waste, to remember that maybe do them all solvent weld inside the house, but as soon as you get outside the house, use the push fits, and you've got expansion room if it does freeze. So it's just a little simple tip, and one that I was told about. I mean, I've been plumbing for 40 years and I never quite realised that this would happen. Sometimes you're still learning, believe me, no matter how old you get. So there we are, a simple little tip with waste pipes, solvent weld versus push fit. They both have their merits. Okay, thanks very much for watching. You know where to go, all my videos, Derek33. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.